Welcome back to our continuing coverage. We are still watching what's happening in Israel on the ground in Hostage Square as we get that news into us that all remaining living hostages are now back with the IDF and in Israel. You see their names and faces on the screen there. A bittersweet moment that marks at least the culmination of one small part of this ongoing conflict, one that the White House, other diplomats, Israeli hostage families and Israelis themselves have been pushing for the better part of 2 years since the October 7th attack by Hamas. We are also still waiting to see the President of the United States, as well as other top Israeli officials, address the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. That was supposed to start almost an hour ago at this point, running behind schedule. But of course, we will bring it to you live as soon as it happens. It's here, though, that I think as we play this waiting game, David Rode, who is thankfully still with us and able to bring us his expertise, that I want to ask you about the visual of Trump giving this address to the Knesset just moments after we get the news in that the hostages, at least the living hostages, are back reuniting or about to reunite with their families. It does bring to a close one of the more heartbreaking parts of this ongoing conflict, of which there's been no shortage of heartbreak on all sides.
This is just an extraordinary moment. I wasn't sure this was going to happen. I thought Hamas could keep, 2 or 3 of these captives as leverage. And it's just such a credit to the families and the hostages themselves. When you showed those still pictures earlier, the hostages released today, they're all very pale. That suggests to me they've been held in tunnels, possibly for the entire 2 years that they've been in captivity. And so I just can't, praise the bravery of these hostages and the bravery of their families as well. Again, 250 people were taken captive on October 7th, roughly speaking. 80 of them have died. Some of them were killed on October 7th. Others died in captivity. Earlier, NBC had on the parents of Hirsch Goldberg Pollen, who was killed by his captors. They're an extraordinary family, and his parents, John and Rachel, have just been amazing throughout this. They're happy for the other families here. Roughly 170 of the 250 have now been freed. There were about 100 freed during the Biden administration. The Biden administration, pushed hard to get them out, but it is the Trump administration. It is President Donald Trump who put tremendous pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu to end this war, to get these hostages released, that brokered this deal with the help of Arab nations and Arab leaders as well. So it's just an incredible moment for these families, for these hostages, for this to finally be over, at least for this group. Obviously, 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are still suffering. 67,000 Palestinians have died, but at least one painful chapter, as you said, of this very ugly conflict has ended.
And the president has been clear that he is not just pushing for the release of the living hostages, which again has now happened according to the IDF, but also for the remains of the hostages that were killed while in captivity. He's continuously made the point that to the hostage families, getting the remains of their loved ones back is such a deep desire, a deep need to find some sense of closure after so much tragedy. We're waiting to hear the news on that, because that is the next piece of finding closure on this one thread of a multi-thread process that we've been watching unfold this morning. But David Rode, you talk about the humanitarian crisis on the ground in Gaza. It's the thing that I think has been driving negative public sentiment here in the U.S. toward Israel. You look at Pew polling and other metrics that show that as of right now, it's 59% of Americans negatively view Israel. That's up almost 8 percentage points from when they last asked that question a year ago in 2024. And it's also the humanitarian crisis on the ground that, if you look at reports in the Wall Street Journal and others, that ultimately pushed Hamas to the table, in part alongside pressure from other Arab leaders who were telling them, this is really the moment where you either say yes or we can't continue to back you. Can you talk a little bit about the dynamics, both from a humanitarian perspective, but then also from a diplomacy perspective, of the ways that this deal ultimately came together and got Hamas to yes?
Look, it's been unbelievable what's played out in Gaza. One of the strangest things about this conflict is that the Israeli government has barred foreign journalists from going into Gaza. There's been Palestinian journalists who've been covering what's been happening there. But a key question, and one thing that I hope happens in the wake of this ceasefire, is that finally international journalists can get in there. Dozens of Palestinian journalists have died in different Israeli strikes. There's people question, the veracity of what Palestinians report. I don't, but I think getting more international journalists in there will help. And the key change here, I think, was this spring, when there were essentially, there was starvation, according to international aid groups, going on in Gaza, images of emaciated children. And I think Americans of all political stripes, and I think people around the world, are horrified by the images of starving children. And that, in a way, has, I think, backfired on Netanyahu in terms of the kind of tactics that were used regarding aid. So, and to just rebuild Gaza, to try to recreate a semblance of a normal life, is an enormous effort that will have to go on in Gaza. The United States, I think, has to lead that effort. It has to have help and cooperation from the Israeli government and Arab governments. But there's no question that something changed in these last few months, where there was a sense of, this has gone on for nearly 2 years. What else does Israel want to achieve militarily in Gaza? They've had 2 years to achieve it. And I think, lastly, Palestinian civilians, I would assume, it's very hard to know, and this is why the world needs to get into Gaza, Palestinians getting frustrated with Hamas as well. That this has gone on long enough. Its armed struggle has brought catastrophe to Gaza. So again, the dynamics ahead are going to be amazing on the ground in Gaza among Palestinians themselves.